One nice series of drills that I like a lot are these that are a little bit more abstract. So always when I have my foot up here, what I'm going to do is I'm just going to really like push this arm down. What we train here is if he pushes down on the arm, that I bring my elbow low and I bring my Wu Sao back up. Always try to get the front hand back into the front. And so here I remove his arm and he just, Yeah, so it should end up here, not on your side, so it really covers your space.
So this is a very basic drill that then lays the foundation for many other drills that we can train. And since it's basic, it's necessary to train it very cleanly. Here I show again the basic drill whereby my partner pulls down on the bong and I bring the Wu back up. And you can always use the opening of the first form to correct your position. Check if your position is good. Your Wu should end up in the same position as in the form.
This is what makes the Wing Chun stuff so quick, because it's short ways. Yeah, I'm already so close to him. Yeah, I don't let my arm go all the way down, come all the way up. It takes too long.
So let's look at that again in slow motion. The idea here is to immediately start an attack from this Wu position, which, if you get the good position, is pretty easy to do. And then the other thing that you can do is to use a Pak-Da as a variation of just attacking. And in fact, it's also possible to do a bunch of other techniques from this Wu position. You could do a Bong Da, you could do a Jat-Da, many different possibilities. We don't show all of them here. What's important for the Wu is that you use good leverage. We'll look at that again.
This works because I bring my arm up and now my elbow, which is a short lever, is close to his wrist, which is a long lever. So here I have good leverage. It's easy for me to turn him. Yeah? So nothing wrong with here in this drill. Wenn er meinen Arm runterzieht, so klappert. But my arm here was almost parallel to the ground already. Yeah? Because you can imagine if he pushes into my arm here I have a very strong structure. If this were my wrist, this would be much weaker.
So if you end up with your elbow high and you get good leverage, you will end up turning the opponent's body. So we can see this here nicely in this freeze frame. And then it's easy to continue. However, sometimes you end up more wrist to wrist and then you need a helping technique. So for example here, again, use the Pak-Da and then move in. And as Timo's body starts turning, I clear that threatening arm with my Bong Sao. And of course, I would have to keep on moving in continuously for this thing to really work. Now here we keep running into a situation where Timo wants to go into basically the next move, which is a Man Sao Wu Sao switch with a step. So we'll look at that next.
For example, if he does Pak Sao here, again, I want to keep my arm. What I don't want to happen is this. This is not what I want to train with this, okay? What I want to train is if he paks. See, my Wu was in between me and this punch. This is the drill, okay? Yeah. This comes from, the positioning comes from here, from Sinum Tao, but also from Cham Kyu, from here up, again on this position, Sinum Tao. Then I turn, now my arm is on this side of my body. But I don't do this, yeah, because I wouldn't cover my space if I did that. I cover, then I turn, cover, then I turn.
And this switch from the Wu Sao to the Man Sao is really crucial. So we show it here in another drill. Here we're doing Lap Sao, which we'll go over later. And Timo's given me an impulse, which I use my Wu to buffer and step out and end up on a Man Sao and end up pushing him. And so we keep going here, do this a few times from Lap Sao. And again, we end up in this position where I use my Man Sao versus his elbow to obstruct him, turn his body and push him. And in this case, he told me that he finds it difficult to deal with this situation. He doesn't know how to escape from this. So I show him how to regain the facing, again by engaging the Wu, switching to Man Sao, stepping out. This of course comes from the Toi Ma in Poon Sao. And so I show him a few times. You should be able to see quite well how I dissipate the energy that he puts in by engaging the Wu, using my body rotation to rotate off the energy. And here in the end, you can see how I replace the contact on my elbow with the Bong Sao and then go into strike.
Okay, so we'll show one more, and now, so from here, we go into Lap Sao. So from here, I'll shift, and I do my Bong Sao, and so from here, we start training Lap Sao.
So here we're training the Lap Sao drill, which next to Poon Sao is the main Chi Sao drill that we train. In Lap Sao, we place special focus on the simultaneous motion of Jat Punch and Bong Wu. And in this video, we'll look at some of the more advanced drills for the most part from Lap Sao. We'll have to go over the basic drills in some other video. But let's start with something simple here, the entry from the Poon Sao. So in slow motion, we can see that after the exchange of force here on the lower arm, I then pivot and use a Bong Sao, which I follow immediately with a Jat Punch. My partner deflects with his Wu Sao, and I Jat that again, and he dissolves the energy by rotating using his Bong. So one thing that happens often here in Lap Sao is that the Bong isn't quite where it's supposed to be. And so every once in a while I test my partner's Bong by performing a little bit faster the Jat Punch, and here we can see the normal flow. Here I felt like his Bong wasn't up as quickly as it should be, so then I do the next Jat Punch faster, and as I do that, my partner's Bong is nowhere to be found, so I can connect the strike, unbalance him, and as he starts rotating back towards me, I use a Pak-push to keep him off me. You can see the effect it has on his body. As we keep flowing here in the Lap Sao, I explained that my partner should let the lower arm go so that the elbow can fly forwards and really close all the space and thus obstruct my incoming punch. And here again, we're going to see the effect of the Bong not being in the position that it needs to be quickly enough, with the effect that I break through the defenses. Here the Popeye turns into just a low strike as my partner is a little further away. And so one nice drill that we can do to improve the Bong is here to pull the Bong. So here I use my entire body weight with a step back to really pull my partner forwards. Here the idea is for him to really allow this to happen and allow his arm to come flying forwards to take up all the space, which I'm going to demonstrate here when he pulls me. And so here over the course of flowing, many different situations arise, and here we come to a situation that's very similar to the one we had before, where my Bong Sao puts pressure on his elbow and he steps out to regain his facing. Now in slow motion we can see here in a second that as I was doing this, I was actually doing quite a bad job as my Wu Sao was not protecting me. He would have easily hit me there with both hands. My partner does a really good job stepping out under the pressure and regaining his facing and ending up on my outside again. Very nicely done. And so we come to the next drill that my partner demonstrates here, a Pak-Da entry. So from the Jat Punch flow, he performs the Pak-Da. Unfortunately ends up a little bit on my elbow with the Pak, so can't quite clear the line. I give him an opportunity to employ the Jat Punch to clear the line fully, and he takes the initiative by stepping in with a push to the opposite shoulder, which of course could just as easily have been a punch or a palm strike. And here we came to an interesting situation by chance. Again, my partner performs the outside Pak-Da. And here we can see it. and I respond by stepping off line using a Man Sao, but I end up on his wrist instead of the elbow, so this gives him opportunity to strike low. However, I connect with a jump Sao, push his arm to the side before it hits me, and then counterattack all in one motion. And this was quite surprising to my partner that I was able to catch the arm that quickly. So from this I explained that whenever he strikes low under my arm, it's important that the Wu be pushed over to the shoulder so that it protects the upper gate. And here we have a nice variation of this where we use a Pak-push entry. So from the Lap Sao flow, I perform a short Jat Sao pull on the rear arm. Here's that pull now, and so I take the elbow with my Pak and then slip under the arm. The push will come right here. It's a similar motion also on the wooden dummy where this can be trained without a partner. And as we keep flowing here in the Lap Sao, we then come to some dedicated Wu Sao drills again that are very similar to the drills we were doing initially. And this drill has multiple steps to it. We'll be training this for the rest of the session and for the rest of this video. So let's look at this the first time. So my partner strikes low and then follows with a Ving Sao and then gives me a low punch. I again bring up the Wu Sao to buffer the energy, step out, and then immediately follow up with my own Pak, which he responds to very well and gets me in a really bad situation, would have hit me there. And my partner steps out, checks my arm, regains his facing and makes distance, so very well done. And here again we flow in the Lap Sao, well visible here the simultaneous action of the Bong Wu and the Jut Punch. This is important because in Lap Sao we have the opportunity to really train this specifically. And here again my partner's job now is to bring up the Wu as I give him pressure from my punch shooting forwards. And then as I'm giving him that pressure, in that exact moment as I'm going forward with the pressure, he's coming back in, forcing me to react in a very tight space and very little time to regain my facing, counterattack. And here take the position again. And we'll break down the individual steps of this drill in a minute. For this drill, it's very important to really understand and appreciate the timing of the different steps, as only when the timing is correct do the individual actions make sense in the bigger context. And this allows us to actually drill stuff that's going to be useful and improve our training.
So this is probably my trainer's favorite drill. I've done this drill with him for 10 years now.
So cool.
So what we have here, maybe I'll explain one more drill here. So here always his punch is coming, right? And I bong to not get hit, right? This is Lap Sao drill. Yeah? Yeah, basically. But could happen that I'm not fast enough. So he's coming over my arm here. So I use this emergency Pak, like in the serum top, very close to my head. Yeah, at the center I strike. Now he pulls in his arm to just reflexively protect himself. And then from here I want to strike to the body. And so here again his job is to put up the Wu. And so as I'm extending my arm, he already Paks again. And so the only thing that I can still do in that case is, again, this little emergency Pak. and then I turn and Pak Sao. Yeah?
Yeah.
So it's all kind of recovery motions, and this whole drill is all natural recovery motions.
So that was a lot. So we're gonna break down all the different steps again. Here he punches towards me over my arm, and I square my hips again while I Pak punch, and look at the effect this has on his body. Then as he starts bringing in his arm again, I immediately let go of my front arm, perform a Jat Fak. This has to come quickly. Here then the strike to the body, he's supposed to put up his Wu by pushing the elbow forward, but actually I'm breaking over his defenses and I would have hit him already. So I'll show this again myself, a couple different variations. As he punches, my Wu buffers and I step out and flow into the next punch. And here again, but this time without stepping out, just on the spot. In any case, when he performs this Pak punch, as my arm is extending, the only thing I can still do is Pak and then follow with a Fak Sao.
But the important thing here is when we're in a position, one jump on you, jump. When we're in this position, jump. Here again, look, I'm engaging my Wu. Yeah, so that if he strikes here now, then I can do this. Yeah? So again, I don't want jump. I don't want to take my hand away and he strikes and now I'm from the other hand. Yeah, it's wasted motion. So if I'm here, already I'm there. Yeah, and then we see right there.
Yeah.